look at this. Hello, I'm live. I don't want to create another event. Oh, stop that. I'm Rosie the Quilter, and I am coming to you from my home sewing studio here in Waldorf, Maryland. And today is my birthday. So, of course, to celebrate my birthday, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to make a quilt. So I have been planning to make this quilt, but like with a lot of things that I do, I don't like to plan too much in advance. Hello to someone who's watching. Oh, if you do want to, interact with me, uh, do go ahead and um, write any kind of comments, and I will try to interact with you and answer any questions you have. So, for example, what am I doing today and why am I on Facebook? Oh, they left. Well, the reason why I'm on Facebook today is to celebrate my birthday by making a quilt. And today I wanted to do a special quilt that I hadn't done before. So this is something where if you've ever been wondering how to design a quilt if you're not using somebody else's pattern, that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So I I make prayer quilts. That's what I do. I have a little business on Etsy called Prayer Quilts by Rosie, and I exclusively work with wall hanging lap size quilts that are using scripture or other inspirational messages, but predominantly 98% are from the scriptures, Psalms, the Gospels, um, Old New Testament, they're all in there. And so a few months ago, I decided that there, with the kind of quilt panels that I was seeing, they weren't really, they really didn't have the verses that really touched my heart. That I wanted to create in a quilt that really spoke to me, and I wanted to print them up in something else other than those pre-done little sheets, because I don't like the feel of them when you sew them. They're not really real fabric, not real cotton, because you have to run them through inkjet printer. It doesn't really have the feel of real fabric. So what I did is I did some research and picked out 10 verses that spoke to me, and I hope will speak to other people too. And I had them printed professionally on spoon flower. I don't know if you've ever seen spoon flower, but you can get all kinds of things printed at spoon flower. You could even print wallpaper. You can print bed sheets, pillows. Um, and so what I did is I went ahead and I decided to go ahead and use those. And as you see here, I printed it up. You see the blue lines there? The blue lines are to help me cut them to the or trim them to the right size. So what do I have in here? Um, Psalm 30, verse 2. Lord my God, I called to you for help and you healed me. Or Psalm 9, verse 10. Those who know your name trust in you, For you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. So essentially, what I tried to pull together were verses that talked about how God is ever faithful to those who trust in Him. And so these are the verses that I'm going to be working with today. So before I get started here, I'm just going to uh, go down and see if I have two viewers, but I don't know who you are. So if you'd like, let me know so I can acknowledge you and thank you for uh, spending some time with me today. I'm also going to take a look on Facebook and see if I can bring up. Let me know so I can acknowledge you whoops. And thank you for uh, spending some time if with I me can. Today. I'm also going to take a look. I'm sorry. On Facebook and see if. Okay, Melody Ray, and I have to find a way to turn off the sound. There I go. Wow, look at no, this. That didn't turn off the sound. I have to find a way to turn off the sound. Anyway, let me stop that. Let me stop that. That's just so disappointing. But I see Melody's on, so thank you, Melody. When I'm off, I will go ahead. But, so when I decided to cut these up, there are 10 verses, right? So when I decided to figure out, well, how are you going to do with these verses? Because when you cut them out, they're going to be about this size, 3 inches by 9.5 inches. So therefore, because it's like this, when you're thinking about how do I design around that, you're going to be talking about strips, sewing strips to either side, top and bottom, and then also putting together what I call a setting square, because it's really boring if all you have are just those strips sewn together, because there's only 10 of them, and before you know it, you have a very narrow quilt. So in order to broaden out the visual interest, the color interest in your quilt, you have to put in setting squares. So I had to decide, first of all, on a color scheme. Now, I know for myself, I tend to always go for bright colors. I like blues and I like oranges and pinks and reds. But I decided this time, let me go for something a little different, more muted, but still with texture that will provide interest. And that's where I came up with, let's go brown. And with brown, you could have greens and black also. So part of what you'll see today is, how do I incorporate the black? How do I incorporate the green? But let's see what browns I have. So for my for the verses, I decided to go with two different browns. One is going to be this color, which is a lovely brown with these lighter streaks through it. Almost gives it a wood appearance, but it also gives it a lovely texture. And then, also keeping with the browns, but going with a lighter color this time, I'm going with this swirly brown, so that you have a different texture going in the quilt. So one set, five of them will have that straight lines. The other half will have the brown, the light brown. But I want that set-in square. So the set-in square, I'm going with a darker brown. And if you see here, it has almost like little leaves in that texture. So it and in the leaves you have a darker setting altogether. So between the three, you're going to have that. And then I also chose my outer border. My outer border is going to use this brown. And as you can see here, it's a lovely mottled color that will take up what you see with these other browns. And with a bright green, that's going to look gorgeous. But I haven't chosen the green yet. I'll do that later on this afternoon. So this is what some of them will look like with that lighter brown, streaking brown. And then the others half will look like this. Here you go. There. So let me see if anybody has any questions, because at the I think 13-minute mark, I am going to stop my video and get sewing. So let's see. Let's see here. Melody is still here, and I'm not sure who are the other folks, but okay. I don't see any other comments from anybody else. If I did miss you, I am really sorry. Excuse me. But it's my sister. Yes. Thank you. See, I'm online right now, and I did have to take this call because it's my sister Sonia. And Sonia is so sweet. She had to wish me a happy birthday right here on Facebook Live. But at least I you didn't have to hear her sing. Yeah, yeah. I have feelings for my audience, Sonia. Thank you. Bye. Love you too. You know, sometimes you just can't say I'm on another call. You just have to take the call, especially when it's your birthday and it's your sister, your only sister, loving sister. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and start sewing these pieces together. One thing I want to just reiterate, because you might be wondering, how am I going to sew this? There, I'm right here. Uh, and I'm going to put on my glasses because I'm getting those senior eyes. I'm getting those senior eyes. And with senior eyes, you don't fool around. You use those glasses. Now, let's see. Don't just pretend that you know. Make sure. Count out. So I have one there. So I have, so these five will have the other, and these five will have the other, right? Never take it for granted, because if you have extra of one and you just think, oh, I'll just keep on sewing, and before you know it, you have sewn all of your white strips with one color. Then you have to get your magic stitch remover, unsewer, and get going on that. Now, I am one of those persons, I believe in pinning. I know a lot of folks, you watch the TV shows or YouTube videos where they're sewing, and I love Jordan fabrics, but that woman is just a terror with her machine. She just goes zoom when she is sewing, and I am that kind of sewing kind of terrifies me. It kind of takes the fun out of it. So I like to pin, and then I am confident that my my ends are going to work properly, and I'm not going to overshoot my borders, and everything will come out nice and clean, and I won't have to unsew. Now, I know a lot of folks, especially if you're just beginning to sew, you're not sure about uh, how do I do a good 1/4 inch. Now, there are sewing, uh, uh, what they call the feet, that are set up like this. Now, if you can see it properly, but feet like this, where all you have to do is set the needle to a center, and it will, and as long as you keep to the edge of the foot there, you will have a good 1/4 inch seam. Uh, I stopped using that one. I think because once I started sewing every day, you get to recognize what's a good 1/4 inch. And even if you're off by like a millisecond, if you are consistent in keeping that 1/4 inch right, then your sewing will be consistent. It's just like with everything. If all your seams are the same size, even if it might be off just a little bit, if they're all the same, then that's how you maintain that consistency. But I like to uh, just double check. But now I've been doing this now daily sewing for about 5 6 years now, so I'm pretty confident in my sewing and what uh, what seams I'm doing. So here we go. I'm going to take this last one here that was up on that little board. Now, the reason I like this particular type of pattern is because it's easy. This is the kind of easy sewing you like to do when there's no pressure. And for a day like today, that's the kind of sewing I'm going to do. No pressure sewing, just getting one thing done against the other. And when it's a cold day, well, today for me is a cold day. I think it will just break around 35 degrees today, which in some states of our union today is pretty warm. I was watching the news, and some states, they're looking at negative numbers. That's like what I used to have when I lived in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for a number of years while I was going to school at the University of Chicago, and uh, that was, oh my gosh, it was so cold. I I used to wear one of my mother's coats, which was like, it was too big for me, but that was fine because it was like extra large, so I could really layer on the inside. It looked like a little polar bear. I didn't care at all. because where the school was right off the lake, and when that wind would blow, you didn't care whatsoever about what did I look like. Not at all. So let me get rid of this here. Don't you love it when you get all these pop-ups asking you things? It's like, who wanted you to mention that to me? Well, I'm trying to talk to my people. Shucks. Have some manners, right? So anyway, let me get started on sewing this. Now, so I have all my pinned and ready. And underneath here, I like to keep, like here, I like to keep little pieces of fabric that I use as what they call spider fabric. What it is just a means to make sure that when you start sewing, it's going to really pick it up right. And that it's not going to mess it up when you start sewing. So here I go. Oh, by the way, one thing I realized after I've been sewing for a number of years and having a whole array of threads, so that when I'm sewing something blue, I use blue thread. When I'm sewing this, now what do I use? Neutral, like this. Here you go. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, neutral thread. I remember one time I was watching Fons and Porter, and I don't know, maybe some of the older folks might remember Fons and Porter. They used to have a quilting show out of the Midwest on one of the public TV stations. And she said, just have a nice off-whitish tan thread. And you know something? She is right. Instead of always changing your bobbins, changing your thread, because then you're always worried, oh, well, I'm doing this color, I'm sewing it to that color, so what color should I use? Just go with neutral. Go with neutral, and you will not be disappointed. The only time you're going to be disappointed is if your sewing is not accurate and you end up pulling too much, and or if your seams are not sewn tight enough. Then you might see the color of the thread when you press, or just so accurate, and you will never see that color of that thread when you press. So here I go, as you see, and I'm just going to lift the foot up and let it catch. As you see, even though I have the pin cushion there, I don't like to put the pins in until I'm all done, because it stops my forward motion, so to speak. So let me sew this whole line here, and then I'm going to pick up with y'all on the other side. Probably I'll pick up with y'all around 12 o'clock. Just two more. Do understand that not everybody's sewing machine, is silent. Some are noisier than others. And that doesn't mean that anything is wrong with your machine. It just means that, you know, it might be a little noisier than others. And there are reasons for that, but as long as your stitches are coming out looking okay, I'm not going to worry about the fact that my sewing machine is noisy. That's of little consequence to me. Okay, so now I had, if I was going to do this like some other folks, here's the second group. I could just put that in and just make sure I have my ends together, and I could just go ahead, because this is not that difficult that I have to have pins. I just like to have pins. But you could live without pins if you want to. It's not a requirement of life to have pins. Okay, so I've been going now for almost 30 minutes. And let me just check and see if there have been any questions. LaDon, Kelly, hi there. Anybody else? Okay, well then, let me just go ahead and finish sewing this line, and I will get back to you. So I'm going to finish it right now, and I will get back to you at around 12 o'clock after I finish sewing this line. All of these, I should be finished sewing all of them, and then I could get to how you set it, design it, all right? And I'll be using my little design wall here behind me to show how we do that, okay? So for now, bye. Leave some questions if you see this after I've finished, because this is going to post directly. And when I pick it up at 12 o'clock, I'll check and see if you have any questions. I'll answer those off the bat before I get started on the next portion of Prayer Quilt in a Day. Bye for now.